I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. And you're in Nashville.
I am. Yeah, I've been out here doing co-writes all week and seeing old friends and making new ones and all the things. So,
Now now the co-writes, like I guess your new music, that's all recorded again, ready, mastered, and
yeah, I like to come out here. It's kind of a nice break from doing shows and getting to, not be as much on the business side of it and just to get to sit and be creative for 8 hours a day is it's a nice break. So I try to do it every other month.
okay,
But I
yeah.
won't be back out here until August now, so I'm slightly sad. It's going to be about 2.5 months this time, but it'll be all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Now do you enjoy the songwriting experience?
I love songwriting. Absolutely love it. It's my so singing is my first love because it took me for I was really slow on figuring out you actually people write the songs, people sing. That never clicked in my brain until I was about 13. So that now I've done it ever since.
Yeah. Out there, those songwrites, they're like no joke. I remember the first time going and being with someone who was like a veteran, and it was a
Hmm.
really cool experience of how like a lot
Yeah.
of times they'll just come up with the melody and like maybe like a simple chord structure and how they'll just hum of how like they want the melody of the vocals to go, and
Yeah.
we're like, who's got a story? It was like a professional campfire, like pregame for
Yeah.
another bonfire. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have the
That's it.
songs for it.
Oh yeah, no, I love telling stories. So I mean, even today, like I was in one with Daniel Andrews, and we were talking and swapping songs. And I mean, it was literally if you just put a bonfire in the middle, we were like, it was a campfire. Is what we were talking about. So that was that was a fun one.
Now, do you have a favorite person to co-write with, or
I love writing with old friends, but I love writing with new people too. Usually your first couple of songs with them, it's like, it's magic happens. And then once you get to know them more, you don't get to write with them as much. I don't know why. That's been my experience. You'll write with the new people. And then when you go to write with old ones, it's like, oh, I've already written with you. Like we can push this one or that. So, I've got like Shelby Ballinger's back in Texas. She's one of my favorite people to write with. We're really good about that. So, but yeah, I was gonna say her, and then uh, probably out here too. I've written with Ariana Pappas a lot too, so we have fun. And then I just met J4, who I met at T3R. I got to write with him and Ariana on Sunday. We were joking. We've been trying to meet. He's with Lucky Sky. They sponsored the stage out of T3R. I just looked across the room and was like, "What are you doing here?" Like I met you in Nashville. So yeah,
now on your new album? Is there a lot of co-writes on that, or is it a lot
it's
of you?
I've recorded 5 songs. So I've got three that are co-writes and then two that I wrote myself. So I write a lot of songs just with me. So I'm much harder on my own songs though. But the two that I recorded, they've been fan favorites. So I was like, all right, I shall give them to y'all.
Now,
Yeah.
did you record it in Texas?
Yeah, I did. With Tim Lightyear.
Oh
I
yeah.
was yeah. So that's been a lot of fun. He watching his brain work and how he approaches the song. I'm always going, how? I would never ever in a million years think of putting that chord there, and it made the song go from here to here. So that's been really fun. I'll see him I think in like another week and a half to put final touches on a couple more. So
That's
that's
awesome.
been yeah, it's crazy. When I remember I was talking to a lot of studios and producers trying to figure out where to record at, and I reached out to Steve right before I did the Texas to Tennessee podcast, and he was like, "Let me like put you in touch with Tim Lightyear. I think you two would hit it off." And magic.
Yeah, he
So,
was on the podcast. I've never met him, but yeah,
hmm
he was a great guy to talk to.
he is. Yeah, I was gonna say he's so much fun, and he's I don't know. You can tell him anything, and he'll just be like, "Cool, like let's do it." So
Yeah, I love how
yeah,
I told him, because like I didn't real for the longest part I didn't realize like Shane Smith and the Saints, that their lineup had changed, and I was like, hear
yeah,
that guitar sound. I was like, Tim, that was you. I'm like, I'm thinking he had like boutique pedals, and he got on his hands and knees and he was like, nah, dude, here, let me grab him. And he showed me his pedals. He goes, this is all you need. and just run them like this. And I was like, I got the same pedal in like a drawer that I haven't used because I like looked over it because it was like a cheap pedal in the scheme of
Yeah.
modulation pedals. And I was like, wow, man, that's, and I just loved how he's just like, oh, hold on. And he just went down, he just explained it. And he seems like a great guy to record with.
Yeah, you should meet him in person. Y'all would have fun because I've seen you shred guitar on TikTok, and I was like, y'all would have a blast together.
Yeah.
I just sit there and I'm like, cool. I have an acoustic guitar I can barely play.
Yeah, I'm terrible on acoustic. It's funny. Like I'll pick up an acoustic and people go, okay. And you give me electric, that's where I shine. But
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't sing. I feel like maybe if I did sing, you know, because the way you play it, it's just the way the feel, how it changes. It's a very like organic. It'll definitely read your hands a lot more than an electric. And I just maybe it's that, but and it hurts. It's compared to an electric, like the strings are so much bigger and
I actually, long story short, I broke a guitar because I love 13 gauge strings, which are, you know, the super thick ones. I
uh-huh.
didn't know that they were called gauges until about 6 months ago, which that's a whole story for another time. But I broke a guitar to say the least over my string thickness. And but I love hammering and pulling and, you know, just that real imperfect sound it gives. And I had a guitar and I had those on there and I had just been playing it for years. Like I just had bought a really, I don't know, I think probably about 20 packs of strings back when I was 18. And I wasn't doing shows back then because I thought I was horrible. And I just kept changing them on this one guitar I had, broke that one. Then I got a new guitar, broke it. And my other guitar, my favorite guitar that I have, she was fine with them. So I don't know. I learned that. I was like, oh, that's good to know.
That's it.
Just buying strings. Didn't know there was a different sizes or anything.
Yeah, the tension will
Yeah.
snap.
Yeah, I worked and I bought a Martin and I warped the neck because no one told me that, and I was like, oh, that was a fun one. Now it literally has a bow neck now. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really tell you that.
No one does. I remember even like learning how to change my strings. I went to YouTube and I was doing it, and I ran into someone in Commerce, Texas, E, and he was like, "This is how you change guitar strings." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so much simpler than what I learned on YouTube all those years ago." I went from being a 5-minute thing to now it's about 1 minute and 30 seconds, 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for YouTube for stuff like that, because
Yes.
there's a lot, I feel like there's a lot of stuff like gate kept because people used to get paid to do that.
Mhm. Yep.
But yeah, next thing you know, you'll be you won't have to worry about it. You'll have like guitar techs, rarities to carry.
I can't even imagine that right now. I had someone the other day. We did a show and I cracked a joke and I was like, "Oh man, do y'all remember all the days we used to have to load in all our sound equipment?" And they were like, "That's like we're still doing that at a couple this year." And I was like, "That's true. This is nice though, like we just show up and we plug and play for the most part." I've never had that.
Yeah.
Until now.
Like, and people don't realize just like how just like skin of the teeth of how close things just are to disaster, or how it just works like just seconds before you hit the stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially with music, especially now that like the mom and pop music stores aren't in every town anymore. And it's like if you didn't Amazon, if you didn't ship something to a venue that you need it, that can be disastrous. That's when I tell people when they're like, "How do you meet artists?" And I'm like, you don't need a big TikTok. You just go in their DMs. If they're traveling, just say, "Hey, do you need anything? I'm going to the Guitar Center." And a lot of times it's like, "Hey man, can you pick us up some Zins?" I've gotten that a lot.
Yeah.
Or like, because a lot of people are pulling trailers or driving RVs that you just can't pull into a regular stop. So that was always my way of just.
Yeah, no, we had a show where my guitarist, his pedal board went out, and we were calling every musician I knew in Durant. I was like, "Hey, do you have what are the little? I don't even have a pedal board. What are the little connect? I'm blanking on the name.
Adapter.
The adapters. Yes, we were calling them for an adapter because we were freaking out because he was like, "I have no sound. Like it's just gonna be lead." I was like, "Oh dear." So yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, cables. It's funny is anytime we're doing anything music and people will ask, hey, can we do this? And I'm like, well, that will require another cable, but
Yeah.
you need that cable. It's
Yeah. You
it's
do.
crazy.
You wouldn't think a tiny cable could make or break your entire show, but it can. My other one, we had one show where we had set up the soundboard. We had barricaded it so no one could go over near it, and I don't know how someone did it, but they unplugged it mid set. Just it was gone. And I remember I was freaking out because our soundboard, I was worried it was going to go on the fritz because it wouldn't come back on right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun too. I'm just like, cool. Outdoor shows are fun.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this stuff's so expensive. And
yeah,
just something like that. Like some places you play, they don't have like reliable power, and like you just that's why like the bigger names, they have all those like voltage regulators and stuff that monitors it, and if it sees a fault, it'll protect your equipment. But when you're just playing somewhere, you might have a surge protector if you're lucky, but it's.
I bought those because I had, like, back whenever I was first starting doing acoustic shows, I lost a soundboard over that. Like, someone had broken it 2 weeks prior because they just walked up and decided they were going to touch my equipment. And I finally thought I got it fixed, and then I went to another venue and they had a power surge and it went down for the count. And I was just like, well, learned a lesson.
That's a shame.
Yeah. But it was a cheap sound system and board. So I mean, it was going to be replaced eventually anyway. And I was just like, well, I guess now's the time because I have shows in a week.
Now, so. I know like your like Super Bowl venue is the Grand Ole Opry. Now,
I mean, I will be honest with you. I wouldn't say it's the Grand Ole Opry. I'd actually say it's Billy Bob's.
Billy Bob's?
Billy Bob's, just because I'm from Texas, or Green Hall, like those to me, I don't know, they're just a lot more personal. I love the Grand Ole Opry, don't get me wrong, but I think it's just because I've toured it and I've been there. It doesn't interest me in playing it as much as it once did. I'd rather go play at Billy Bob's or Green Hall, just home state shows. But
that's
yeah.
Awesome. Now, is there an artist that's like taking you under your wing, or is there somebody that like you just really like their path that you've been trying to follow as well?
I would argue it's more, I have just met people. They come in for a couple months and then they go on and continue doing their thing. That's been 90% of it. Like, they help me get to another place and then they're like, all right, we have to go like tour or something. And then I may not hear again from them for, a couple of months. And then they'll be like, how are you doing? And I'm like, great. And then another person, will come in. So it's been really, I don't know. It just feels like this big human chain of people who've helped me get here. So it's pretty cool. I thought I had a couple of people, they told me someone took them under their wing and really showed them the ropes, but I've also really enjoyed having to learn a lot of it on my own, because now I'm like, okay, this works for me, this doesn't. And then I hear other people, they're like, oh, cool, like we do it that way too. So I mean, I don't know, you have to learn the hard way somewhere along the way. So
yeah.
Eventually, maybe someone will, but for now, I don't know. I've really enjoyed it. Maybe it's just because I like a challenge.
Yeah. And there are probably a couple songs along the way as well, right? Just
yeah. I've gotten a lot of good songs out of it. So yeah. I wrote one. Back whenever I was starting. It was called "Eat a Peach," and I remember the hook was, if you're looking for something sweet, boy, eat a peach, because of stuff. And I remember someone was like, that's like so clever, and I was like, I don't know if it's clever or not, but I was like, it really did happen. Yeah.
I was
playing penny pool with someone, and this guy was looking at us, and I was at an open mic just trying to figure out how to get a show at this venue, and some of my friends were there, and we were playing penny pool, and he like walked up and was like, excuse me, miss. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you need to be sweeter. Girls are supposed to be sweet. Mind you, I'm super competitive. So I was like, yeah. And, just going to town. And I went home that night and I was like, eat a peach. It's the little things. But yeah.
Dude, people are so crazy and so brazen. Like when I see comments on like, especially like female artists, it blows my mind that people think they can just, because they would never say that to a male artist. You never walk up to someone and be like, hey man, You know, being
I remember when I started, I didn't, fix my hair, do my makeup, or I'm if you know me outside of music, I'm the biggest nerd, biggest dork. I've got the big glasses. Like I'm never wearing makeup or, my hair is usually curled from a show, but that's about it. And I just like t-shirts and jeans. Like I'm pretty simple. But when I go on stage, I've learned I have to, do all of this because back when I started, I would have women walk up to me, not even wait for the song to end and tell me mid-song when I was on a strumming break. They'd be like, "We hate how you look." I would just be like, "Bro."
what do you say to that?
I know. I'm like, what the crap? Like mad respect for telling me to my face and at least not whispering about it at the table. But once I started doing all of that, a lot of it went away. But I was just like, man, like you're bold. Like I gotta
Yeah.
give you like props to that.
Oh, if they were wearing white, I'd always keep like a glass of red wine by the stage. Oops. Oh,
Oh
I'm so,
no.
I'll get you some ginger ale, honey.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh
crazy.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's wild. Yeah. I mean, again, and like the guy who broke my soundboard at that one show, he had been commenting all night about how he didn't like how it sounded, and I was like, well, I don't have a great soundboard. And I remember he just walked up and started touching buttons after a while, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? And I had that happen a couple of other times too, where people just tried to touch my stuff because they're like, we can make it sound better, and I was like, I understand you might be able to, but who are you? Like, what's your background? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know you from Adam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
If Tim Lightyear comes up to you and says, "Hey, man, here's my credentials. I can make you sound better." Absolutely, but just yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yep.
Is this like a
Yeah.
house plant? You gotta water it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's and, and and these times it's just you just playing on acoustic, and you just
Yeah, this
watching.
is back. I mean, yeah, it was just me. Like, I had no band, nothing. Like, and sometimes, there'd be like quite a few people, and I had my gain turned up on my mic, so a couple of times, like, you could hear them saying through the speakers. And then I'd have other people come and be like, "We're so sorry," and I was like, "It's fine. Like, it happens, you know." And like, the good news is they're still here listening. Like, they could have walked out, so they'll know. I hope they remember it. But I was when I was talking with Daniel and our co-writer earlier today, we're like, you have to have people, being negative and hating on you. That means press is press, people talking about you. So it
Yeah.
comes with it. So, but it
Yeah.
also, some of it, is great songwriting inspiration, like Eat a Peach. So I can't complain.
Yeah. That's a great line. I love that how that came out with that. And on your website, I love how with the songs on the scratches, how you go
I
through what
can't
the
believe
songs
you
are.
found that. Yeah, that, oh, I think it cut out. I can,
You're good.
but it's from when I was in college. So long story short, I wanted to pursue singing when I graduated high school, but I got a full ride, and uh, I decided not to. I decided to go to a school about 30 minutes away from where I live, and uh, I just gave up on it. I was like, oh, I didn't. I also didn't think I was very good at writing songs or singing. And then I went through a breakup, and I walked out of the coffee shop there in Commerce, Texas, and there was a recording studio across the street. So I walked in and was like, how much is it to record, a song? And I hadn't written a song either in about 2 years. I quit everything because I just thought it's never going to happen. You can't pursue it from Texas. And now, there's this massive Texas music scene, and that's wrong. I was just telling myself a lie. And I went in there and I recorded 4 songs. And then a year later, I recorded 4 more. And then I had friends who one night I don't remember what we'd been doing. We were out in the country doing something, and we were on our way back, and one of them had my phone, and these were all hidden in my email, so I know they were going through my email, but I don't remember why they were going through my email or what they were looking for. And they found them and started playing them over the car speakers, and everyone just looked at me and said, "Who's that?" And then she went, "Oh, that's Carissa." And I was like, "What?" I didn't even recognize it because I hadn't even listened back to them. And then 2 weeks later, it was on Spotify and Walkabout. Someone put it on a playlist in like Norway or Finland, and it across all platforms, it ended up getting over 10,000 streams. So I was all of a sudden like, well, maybe I can do this. It's just not going to look the way I thought it should.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely no like how to of how to do it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But would
oh
be
man,
nice if there was.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But it's been, I don't know, it's been ever since then. It's just slowly started snowballing in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just coming from that, and yeah,
Yeah.
keeping that momentum is
Yeah.
that's great that it's working out, and you're
It's
seeing
so
it.
funny you brought that up too, because like once I have this new song come out, I was planning on taking it down, but now I'm sitting here. You're the fifth person to mention that to me in I think the past month, and I was like, man, should I just leave it up there, even though it's gonna sound so different? I'm really torn.
Yeah, that'd be like the deep cut of
It's a
the.
really deep cut. It's a very young me. My voice has changed a lot too, but yeah.
Well, that gives the early fans something to be like, well, I was listening to her during this era.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get some street cred for
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
who's arguing
Yeah.
who's the biggest fan.
I know. I know. I was supposed to, I think it would mostly just be some of my family and friends who've heard it. So, and maybe I will say though, I did actually have for the first time ever, again, mind you, I'm about to release, I call them full band recordings because I have that out. But at an acoustic show, a woman had listened to that and actually requested a song off of it. That was my first ever song request of my own. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to go cry in the corner that you listen to that because it's rough. It's rough. And you liked it. Like I was really touched. I've never had that. I know,
Yeah,
honestly, you don't really think that you get used to singing cover songs. People want to hear your stuff, and it was just like that's really it meant a lot, to say the least. So I'm gonna stop talking about it, or I'm gonna cry, and I gotta go do a writer's round later. So,
yeah. Don't do that.
but yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, it's funny is I was I was listening to I Don't Believe in Love, and
yeah.
have you ever been on like a date and they're like, oh, let's listen to some of your music, and then like that comes on, and you have to be like, has there ever been any moments? Because I was listening to it, I was like, man, I was wondering if there's ever a time when someone was like, oh yeah, check her out, that comes on.
You know, that song actually is really old. I wrote that. I pulled that out of my catalog whenever I went to record it. I just never forgot about it, and I was messing around with it. And I remember Joel Weaver, who was helping me record them because I, had no money. He was like, "I'll help you with it," and I was like, "Cool." He heard it and he was obsessed with it. He actually added in the bass and let me do background vocals and all that for free because he loved the song that much. But I wrote that though at 15.
Wow.
So that's a really old song. I don't write like that at all anymore. So. And then Running After You, if you heard that one on there too, I think that one's from like 17. But I had really cool friends in college that helped with all of that stuff. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Drown the Lonely. I thought that was a great song too. There's a lot of
Yeah.
cool, clever lyrics. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
man,
All of those, except for Walkabout, that are on there, those were all from before I went to college. Like, I hadn't written until I was about 20 again. And when I was in college. So I quit everything when I went. I was devastated. But I also recognized I didn't have the money to go to school. And I also, when you grow up when your mom's a single mom and, she's working 2 jobs and you're just like, how do you, do better in life? And for me, it was school. Music just didn't seem feasible. So.
yeah, and it's a big leap. You have to be brave, especially nowadays.
Yeah, it's crazy how much confidence I've got. And I'm just like, there are people in the world that are going to love you. There are people that are going to hate you. And then you'll find your people. And that's been really cool too. And I've lost some along the way. Like even now, I've had someone I was talking to a while back and we reconnected that I hadn't talked to in a couple of years. And I was like, man, it's really good to hear from you again. Cause I know whenever I started doing all of this, we quit talking because they're like, you're crazy. And now they're like, oh my gosh, like you're actually doing it. And I was like, welcome back. Like, it's been good to hear from you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's also weird. Like when you do get bigger, like the people that you wanted to bring with you, some of them, they're like, it's weird. Like
Yeah.
when I thought like when my TikTok took off that all my music friends would be like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna all do that, and then it just never happened.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's just like you get busy and, I feel like everyone's really bad about keeping up with each other anymore because we're all online and we see each other's stuff, but we don't actually, send a message and it's like, hey, congrats, and all that. We're all posting ghosters or just, I call it creeping. You're just on something and it's like, oh, cool, they did that, and but I don't know. I'm bad about it too, though. You just hop on for a couple minutes and it's like, oh, I'll message him about it later, and then you never do, and before you know it, it's been a year since you said hi, and you're
yeah,
like, oh man, I didn't mean to do that. Now I don't know what to say.
that's that is me 100%. Where it
Yeah.
get that uncomfortable long span of time where innocently it just got away from you, and but like it eats me alive. Like I'll feel bad and bad, bad about it, but like, and I just be like,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, oh, something else comes up, the same situation, and I'm just like, I'll just move on to that one, and it's just like a never
Yeah.
ending thing. I just people be like, hey man, I thought you were gonna do this. I'm like, oh God, you're right, and I'm like, man, I wrote it down there, and that's like why some people will see, hey man, you should check this out, and I'll check it out, and it's just sometimes like when I do videos, like I'm wearing the same shirt, and I'm like, oh, I already did that one, and then come to find out, nope, you skipped over something. It's that's like if I could afford or have like a manager, I think that would be someone with a clipboard being like, you got to do this because I need to be pointed in the right directions because if not, I can sit and play my guitar all day, and
Yeah.
I'll turn around and my dog would be like, "Hey, remember me?" I'm like, "Oops, sorry."
I feel that way too. My dog the other night, I got to writing a song and I was like, 30 minutes until I need to feed you. And then before I knew it, it was 8:30 and she was growling at me. And I said, I'm so sorry, Rosie. I'm so sorry. Like the one night I'm home, I forget to feed you. Yeah.
now,
No, but I feel, oh, go ahead.
now I was gonna say, like, are they gonna be a road dog? I love how people are taking their dogs out on the road.
I will be honest with you. I would love for her to be a road dog, but I'm her security blanket. So if I'm out in public and she can't sit on my lap, then it's a problem. And she's too big to lay on top of my guitar.
Uh,
So I don't know how that would work. She wants to be in my lap, curled up in a ball, like head stuck in my armpit, if she's sitting up. So I love her to pieces, but she's scared of her own shadow. The other day I was out walking her. Whenever I'm in town, I like to try and take her in a walk in the morning and just spend time with her because I feel bad. I leave her way too much. And we were walking at the park and a duck walked up to her and she was like peeking her head out from behind my legs and then jumping on my leg, like, pick me up. Like the duck's chasing me. And I was like, it's not chasing you. It's just honking at you. Like, yeah, she's really sweet. I promise everybody loves her when they meet her, but she's shy as can be.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My dog he would just bark at everything and everybody and just
She
ruin
used
everything.
to. I actually broke her of it. I retrained her. She got into a phase where I got her during COVID, so she wasn't ever around other dogs or animals. And when I finally started taking her out, she would bark at everything, and she's would be really aggressive and tried to bite like this Chihuahua at one point. I was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
So now she's finally, about a year later, she's good. We can go out. She can go other places. Like if there's a farmer's market, I'll walk her through that, or if there's a restaurant we can sit outside, she'll do that. But yeah, it's a lot of work to have a dog. You have to train them. And I was like, if anybody has a kid, I can't imagine how much more work that is because she's a lot of work.
yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
it's like when people are like, "Oh, if you have to get another dog, what kind of dog would you get?" And I'm like, "Oh man, I need a vacation. I love my dog, but man, you'd be like, hey, somebody be on hey, come out here, great opportunity, and it's like, hmm. I think it'd be easier with kids because like they can get on airplanes, and you don't have to keep them in a box.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many just more rules, and they'll tell you when they have to go to the bathroom, and they will
Yeah.
go to the bathroom, and you say, hey, you need to go to the bathroom now, because my dog would be like, I'll go when I'm ready.
Yeah. I
But
know. Yeah. No, I have I call them my little cousins. So my brother and I are the youngest of the grandkids on my mom's side, but I love playing with them. And as they've gotten older, they're a lot more self-maintenance, they can take care of themselves, and I'm just like, good for y'all. But in some ways I do miss when they were little and they'd be like, Carissa, can you like come to the bathroom with us and stuff. I'm like, now you don't need me. Now I'm just like they're just like, oh, like you're an adult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's like I went to my parents' they have a beach house that's right by a boardwalk. It's just not the same without kids. It's just like, I get
Mm-hmm.
all the rides and everything, all the games, but
Yeah.
I just wait for my friends to have a couple more, and I'll just hang out with them because I was just like, with being a
Yeah.
music because I wanted to be a musician. And I thought, you can't do anything like that, and then you grow up and you find out that like no, people make it work, and I've seen it, and
Yep.
it's like, huh, I wish I would have been a little bit more attuned to people can still have normalist lives. There's people that travel for business all the time, or people that are deployed in the
Yeah.
services and stuff like that. And I just,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, this being a musician, it's interesting of just how 'cause it's and people think it's all like partying and whatnot, but man, there's a lot of grind to it. I mean, you're doing this podcast, and then right after that, you're going to a songwrite. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It never stops. And I would argue too, social media is 90% of the grind, like doing shows and
yeah,
stuff for me. That's not as draining as being on the road and stuff. I love it. That doesn't drain me the way I thought it would. But the social media grind, that I find a lot harder. I've been trying to figure that out more because I feel like I get in front of a camera and I lose the I don't know. I am me, but I'm the flustered, nervous. I don't know what to say. No matter how many videos I take, I feel like I'm trying too hard.
yeah.
And
Oh,
yeah, I don't know.
I know exactly
If
what
you're
you
not
mean.
online, then no one sees you. So as I say, you're way more natural in front of a camera. Whenever I watch your videos, I'm like, man, I wish I could do
It's funny.
that.
Like man, I don't like get my picture taken. It's funny. Like if you watch
Yeah,
like the beginning where like I had a lot of adult beverages before it turned on because I'd just be so nervous and I'd just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna forget there's a camera. And that's why my voice is all like, but it gets
yeah,
easier. It's it
yeah.
is
No,
the
it definitely has gotten easier.
I, I'll just never be with the phone in front of me like walking through Dallas Fort Worth Airport. We're here. Number going to the White Elephant, and I'll never. I can't do that. I don't have. I see people doing it, and I'm like I can't. I don't have. I don't have it in me. Just because I know what I think when I
I
see
got
someone doing it.
Yeah, I know. I got told by some marketing person I met, they're like, you need to be doing vlogs more and all of that. And the other thing I struggle with it too is like that, doing all of that makes me feel really self-centered and,
Yeah,
like, oh, look at me, and I don't like that. But, then there's also like someone point out there like, well, you go on stage and I'm like, that's different though. Like for me, it's just like, that's the love of performing and, connecting with, I don't know, to me, you're connecting with people when you do that.
yeah,
But I know they were like, you need to vlog more and put yourself out there more and just and I was like I'm just that's not who I am. I like to sit and talk. I don't know, maybe I'm an old soul. I don't know, but I don't know. I would rather go play thousands of shows and get to know people and build my fan base that way than do social media. But I also recognize, if you're not putting content out there, then people don't really see you as much and think you're really doing stuff. It's crazy
yeah.
because I don't feel like I'm doing a lot, but I've had people tell me they're like, "Man, you're doing so much," and they were just like, "It's because they see me posting," you know. And
Yeah.
because I was telling my mom the other day, I was like, "I feel like I'm still not doing enough," and she was like, "You're gonna laugh," but she's like, "I ran into someone again, and they're like, they saw that you'd been posting on TikTok, I think, consistently, and they thought you were really, doing it." And I was like, "Man, it's crazy the perception versus, what you feel like your reality is too with all of that." So
Yeah, and what will help is like when 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 you start making more money and you can
hmm
hire somebody like
yeah,
Like I love what Braxton Keith. I when I was talking to him on his podcast, he said like, I mean, because social media, it's a money printer. And
Mm-hmm.
having someone that does it all for you, and where you can just be yourself wearing a microphone, and just having like little snippets of interactions, like being at the merch booth, and people get to see like, oh, she's nice, and I do think that helps, especially because people, it is weird how people, they would kind of like want to know like everything about their artist anymore, like
Yeah.
not in like a stalker type way. It's just because everybody else is doing it. It just, I feel like it helps. But I really like I'll watch his stuff, and I'd be like, it's just fun to watch of
Yeah.
just the artist not on stage, out of their element, and knowing that like, oh, they're good people. I just feel because it helps with
Yeah.
like the podcast and whatnot. Because I remember Brie Bagwell. I
Mm-hmm.
just saw a lot of pictures of her, and then I found her TikTok, and I found she had these videos of it was like workout videos of dealing with like fans, and she's like, put
Mm-hmm.
your hands up and then run away. It's just stuff like that. And I was like, oh, she's funny, she's fun. And it ended up having a great conversation
Yeah.
with her, and it is cool to
Yeah.
get like, because when I was growing up, you had to write letters. You know, he was like, oh, God, you couldn't see his scowl or his smile if he was generally excited to write fans. But at least that, in a sense, there it's hard to do social media. It's a little easier than that. I believe just answering letters like one by one by one, if it even was a personal letter. But yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
See,
so much to be an artist.
yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. I don't know. I love it. Everyone keeps telling me like you're gonna get tired of it. And I was like, this is all I do. If I never marry, if I never have kids or do any of that, like I would be happy just playing in a bar and all of that. So
Yeah, it's
I didn't lose you. My phone just said it was reconnecting.
okay. Yeah, I don't. Can you see me? Am I moving?
I can see you. Yeah. It like the Wi-Fi came back on and I was like, oh good, my camera's about to come back. And then it was like, just kidding, reconnecting. And I
Uh,
was like,
I'm sure it's still recording.
the
We'll
struggle
be
is
fine.
real.
We'll be fine.
It'll
If
be
not,
okay.
yeah. If not,
Yeah.
we'll just do another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
But
man.
technology, easier to get your music, but also
Yep.
another learning curve.
It is. It is. So I gotta ask because I'm curious because you're clearly a really good lead guitar player. How did you get your start in lead guitar?
It's
Like
funny.
learning to play guitar?
I the one of the last bands I was in, I was the rhythm guitar player. I didn't,
Really?
yeah, I didn't play any leads, and I just remember like I was never I, I I was never like jealous or anything. I just remember being like,
Yeah.
hey man, why don't you solo over this song? He's like, well, it doesn't have a
Mm-hmm.
solo. I'm like, well, it's in E. You can solo. And they're like, oh, okay, you can do it. And I just remember people be like, if you both can play like that, why are you both not playing like that? I'd be like, listen,
Yeah.
this is his brainchild. I'm just
Yeah.
here. I'm just here. Like I had fun. What was funny is like
Mm-hmm.
no one ever took videos of me. Nobody ever took pictures of me. But someone took a video of this festival we played, and I got to realize how much
Mm-hmm.
I played compared to how little he did. And I was like jealous. I was like, I am holding down all this music, and you're just going like, I'm like, man. So it was cool. It was cool. Like I got to change the heaviness of the song because they were playing stuff like I really didn't like the bro country stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I would tune down to like C sharp and really put like overdrive, and I just it sounded like I was playing like Lamb of God, like really heavy stuff, and people. It was weird with the people
Oh
in like
man.
leather jackets coming up to me and being like, "Man, my old lady took me out here, and I was like, I don't like country, but you playing it, doing
Yeah.
that Zach Wild stuff." But really getting in, I always loved Metallica, but to really get in the leads, it was just I sat down because for a while I didn't know any scales, and I literally like learned these patterns that like Joe Satriani was like, this is what I do for a warm up, and I would just play that over and over and over again. A lot of like
Mhm.
repetition, and it was funny. Like I gave myself like really really bad tendonitis, like tennis elbow or what they call golf,
Yeah.
and then I thought it was because like it was playing like a Les Paul, so my hand was like, so I had to like relearn how to play, but just really it was just like
Yeah.
practice with a metronome and just because it definitely wasn't talent.
Yeah.
It's just really when everybody was out hanging out and going out and having fun, I was staying at home just going dun, 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 until it got faster and faster and faster. And now I'm trying to like lock my other fingers into doing like the I love the chicken picking thing. Like it's so cool to
What
me.
is chicken picking?
Like when the guys do like with their fingers, they do like double stops and they use they just use like Brent Mason, what he does, like Johnny
Okay.
Highland, like that whole style is amazing to me. Of it's some guys that when they use the thumb pick and everything, I'm like obsessed
Mhm.
with that now, and it's been frustrating because it's like it's once again like I put on a movie and do little just go up and
Yeah.
down over and over and over again until like my brain can do it without me thinking about it. But just like a lot of
Yeah.
boring practice. Oh, that's
Hey, boring practice is what makes it all worth it. Because if you don't practice the boring stuff, you can't play the more exciting stuff.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
It's true. It's so funny. Like when I tell people like my favorite songs, my favorite bands, and they're like, "Oh, I'll play that when I have a guitar in my hand." I'm like, well, "Here's the weird part. I don't know how to play it." And like
Yeah.
I love the Flood solo by Pantera. I've never sat down to like learn how to play it. Like my favorite albums, I never sat down. I don't, and I have no reason
Yeah.
why. It's just so weird. I, I'll never not listen to it if it ever comes on. If ever anybody covers it, I'll always watch it. But I'll never be like, man, today's the day. I don't know what it is. It's just it's just weird.
I've
Like
got songs like that too.
yeah, it's weird for like when you're trying to tell a non-musical person, they're like, but you love
Mhm.
this song. It's the song that made you want to pick up the guitar and you don't know how to play it. Oh no.
I feel I personally believe when you have to learn the song you love to listen to, it loses a lot of the magic that makes you love about what you love listening on it. Like I don't know. I have like Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood. I used to love listening to that song, and then I had to learn to play it on acoustic guitar, and do those. I was trying to do the little lick with it, and there's no nothing interests me in it anymore. I was like, oh, cool. Like I know how that works.
Yeah.
I should be more excited, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
man.
You, the craziest thing is I would rather play air guitar to my favorite song than the play. It makes no sense. If it comes on and I have a guitar, I'll be like, you know, and I could totally figure it
Yeah.
out on the spot. But
Yep.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to. There's got to be some kind of something about that. I mean, either
Right.
sit on a
I'm
couch.
gonna Google it after this.
There's got
Yeah.
to be some kind of condition because the musicians'
I
brains
know.
are they're definitely wired different.
Yeah. No, I do that with songs I like to listen to as well. I love singing along, but like Adele and Celine Dion, I don't want to sing along. I just want to listen because I know once I start singing along, I'm gonna hate it. Just because to me it just loses the magic. It's like, oh, I figured out how they do it.
Yeah,
So
that's like I was in a band where I was the singer, but I will never sing. And there's just some songs because the one of the guys I play with now, he still smokes, and I hate breaks. I feel like you can lose a crowd if there's just white noise. There's no sound,
mhm.
especially. And I just was like, man, like I could go. I'll play. Like we out here, like they make us play like 4 hours, and I can do all 4 hours. And he just be like, well,
Mhm.
tell you what, I got to take. I gotta take a break with my voice. Why don't you sing a couple? And I'm like, man. And I'll always practice them. And I'm like, nope, there is no way I'm ever singing these songs. And I even like picked like songs where like the vocal range isn't too crazy, but it's just
Yeah.
I just know like I'll just crash and burn, and I'm just not ready for that. Because then like the people that probably would have been like, oh, we'll just wait for the next set. They'll be like, oh, now we're leaving. I feel like I'll lose even more.
I know. Every time you have to take a break, because I deal with that all the time, because for every hour of singing, you typically need a 10-minute break, unless it's, if it's 90 minutes to 2 hours and you're playing with the band and, the guitar solos can come in or the drum solos or, even the transitions into new songs, you get that break on stage because you're not singing, constantly for an hour. But at acoustic shows, I'm not great at soloing. I don't have a loop pedal. I would love to say I'm fantastic at it, but I sing and play, and it just keeps going, and I typically have to, and everybody leaves, and you're just like, rats, I put all that work in, and now you're gone.
Yeah.
Like, I love y'all. Like, please stay. I know you have other things to do, but yeah.
Yeah. That's why, like, when my friends are doing solo acoustic, I'm just like, hey, man, you need someone to play leads? And they're like, well,
Yep.
I can't really. I'm like, I don't need to. I was like, I just want to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
I just wish I lived somewhere around like the stockyards or Nashville, where you literally just walk in anywhere and be like, yeah, I play, and they're like, well, you know, especially if you could
Yeah.
sing. That was how a lot of places we got on stage, and like because they out there they work, and their voice is you go up like, hey, we're a band, you need a break, and it'd be like, yeah, it's not like
Mm-hmm.
the venue hired them. That was one of our ways we tried getting in on that scene in Nashville, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
with your voice, and I love the range, I love the tone of it. How, like, do you go by feel of like when you really want to get into it, from like the soft side to like where you just really like, because you can over sing a song. Like, do you
You
have
know,
like a method, or it just fascinates me?
this is a really weird one, but I try to keep it as simple as possible. I used to oversing stuff a lot when I was a teenager, but I was also trying to, I guess, get more control of my voice. So I would try, how you said the boring practice. I would just sit there and I'd find a song and I would just try and do as many scales as I could between, like in the space where the singer would breathe. And I remember Miranda Lambert. A lot of her songs have like the cool guitar breaks and stuff, like Gunpowder and Lead. At the end of it, I ended up doing it at my show. Like at the end of it, whenever we open with it, I go crazy at the end because it's from that album Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So I'm like, she would go crazy. Like, let's go crazy. But I for cover songs, it's a little easier. But on my own songs, a lot of it's just feel, and also, what's the story in it? Does it need to be said, and the point driven home vocally, or does it just need to, you know, how I say the words? That's just the final piece of it. So a lot of it's your interpretation. I call it songsmithing. Like
Okay.
blacksmiths, you have your own approach to it. And every singer's different too. Like I've met other people like will sing the same. Like for example, Simple Man. Um, when I play Simple Man with my band, it turns into like a 10 to 12 minute song. We don't play it in 4/4 like everybody does. We play it in 6/8, which that was pure accident on my part because I went and learned it, and I kept getting irritated because I wanted more space, and I didn't realize I was already playing it in 6/8. I didn't realize the song was in 6/8. I'd listened to it 100 times and I just was finger picking it. And now, but it's really cool. People love it. So that's my own approach to that one. But I mean, that one for me though, I want to just really, I don't know. It's so emotional. Yeah. It just
Yeah.
depends on the song, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot better at it though. Doing vocals on demos helped me a lot because you have to go in and hear a song 2 or 3 times and immediately know, okay, like it needs this here, and also what are the other instruments doing too? If you've got a guitar solo going on, you're not going to go crazy on vocals over that usually. So
Yeah, that's cool. I was wondering.
yeah,
I was listening to some songs, and I love how you harmonize with yourself. It sounds because I would, I've been trying to like really like focus on like voices and
Yeah.
lyrics, and I'm like, because sometimes I won't notice it, and I'm like, oh, that no, that oh no, that's her. Yeah, that's her. I'm like, man,
I
that's
harmonize so weird. I learned how to do them in church, and I remember when I started, I would have people call me and say, "Hey, can you come cut a demo, like vocal on this or add harmonies to it?" I would go in there, and church music's really simple. It's just the
yeah,
4 chords and a song usually, and most of them are major keys, or if it's a minor key, it's nothing crazy. And I remember I got in there to do. It was jazz harmonies on some song, which if it's funky already, where all the harmony placement's going to be. And I remember I was in there and they're like, "What are you singing? Because it works, but it doesn't work." I was just like, I don't know. It's just how I learned to do harmonies. So a lot of, I literally to this day though, sometimes I go in there and I'll have someone go, "That's not supposed to be the harmony, but that sounds cooler." And I'm like, great. So I don't know on harmonies. It's just whatever comes out. Because sometimes I'll even be singing them and I'm like, oh, that wasn't what I meant to do there, but it works.
that's funny.
Especially on low harmonies. High harmonies, I can hit the nail on the head, but a low harmony, there's like, and everybody's like this, I've been told as a singer, but there's a certain range of notes you'll just lose it in. It doesn't matter what it is, you'll just lose the harmony, and you're kind of just fumbling through until you get back to the range of notes you can naturally hear. But thankfully, with high harmonies, I can just sing the octave up in my head and then, or listen to I'll sing the octave up in my head and then I'll vocally do the octave down. That's how I've gotten around it a lot of times. But yeah,
It works.
it works. Whatever works, as long as they don't know that I can mess it up in my head all day long. As long as it comes out right, we're good.
Yeah, yeah. Listening, and I was like, man, it's cool. It's really it's a great like talent and tool to have because
Yeah.
you don't have to direct anybody. You can
Hmm.
do it yourself, and yeah, I'm trying to I can't remember what song it was. I was like, wow, that's really cool. It sounds like it's a
There
entirely
was it Safe and Sound, or I was
I
gonna
don't
say there's only two out there that have harmonies on them. So I was gonna say I think it's got to be Safe and Sound or I Don't Believe in Love. Those are the only two I can think of.
it probably be I don't believe in love.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked that one. I remember I was just joking around with Joel on it, and he was like, I was just like, "Oh, I don't believe in love." Like I was going through that breakup. That was so bad. I just
Yeah.
sung, but anyway, that's me being hard on
I,
myself.
I loved it, especially the like I don't do
Uh,
PDA. I'm like 100%. I'm like if someone ever complains to me ever again about that, I'm gonna be like, here, listen to the song, and this is from the female side. Like
I was gonna say I put that in there because whenever if I'm on a date with somebody, I guess it's just because I've seen so many of my friends, they go on dates with guys and they're like, yeah, like we're dating, and he's like putting his hand on in my back pocket and all this stuff, and they're just like, I just don't like they're like, I get he's my boyfriend, I don't mind him doing that in private, but out in public, that it don't look right. And I'm just like,
yeah,
I get that, like I don't like that either.
yeah,
So
that, like my thing, like I don't like holding hands. I like I'm fine being
yeah.
Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands, but at least I can do what I want to do with them.
Yeah.
I just it's funny people be like, what's the big deal? I'm like, in my brain, it feels like my hands on fire. Like I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I can't play air guitar.
I always yeah, I always attribute it to my grandmother going, "You just never let a guy do that to you." Like all of a sudden, I'm just in my brain going, oh, "I'm gonna get in trouble with my dead grandmother."
Yeah, she's
She's gonna
watching us
rise up
right
from the
now.
grave. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I do
just
that too, though. Like sometimes when I have to go buy stage clothes, because I'll be like, she'll be in my head, and she'll be like, women. She'll be like, she's like, don't dress like that. She's like, you want to be, respected. She's like, guys will, if you, because I think she knew I wanted to sing. She was always like, whenever you're around men, she was like, they'll respect you more. And I was like, but it's true. No one can tell me otherwise. I was like, I get the whole, you can dress how you want, but I've had men literally come up and they'll be like, you're. Like if they've had someone, being rude or hitting on me, they've literally been like, "We've got you. Like, you're like, we like you. You're classy and respectable." Literally, and I was just like, man, like you wouldn't think, but it does. So
yeah,
appreciate those guys too. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Maybe get like a T-shirt that says, "Don't touch my soundboard."
yeah. Literally. I've thought about it before. I've thought about getting hats that say "Eat a Peach" because we don't play that song out anymore. But I know quite a few people were like they would die cackling. I love that one.
Yeah, well, especially
But
your fans knowing the story and stuff like that.
yeah. We've got another one that we only play at live shows. I ended up not cutting it. It's called "Love Has Your Name." That's been another. I have "I Don't Believe in Love," and then I turn around and have one called "Love Has Your Name," which is funny. But that one you only get to hear live. I don't think I will ever record it just because it's such a live show moment now. It when if I ever do, it'll be a live version, but it's different every time, and it's so. Anyway, it's one of my favorites to get to do. If you ever get to come to a show, you'll have to hear it. It's everyone's favorite song, ironically. But I was just like, I don't think anyone would listen to it on streaming because it's such a slow burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just have to release it on your live at Billy Bob's or Green Hall.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll definitely.
Yeah.
I do like you have like, hey, you love that song? You got to come to my show.
Yep. No, well, my band, whenever we were talking about the songs that we've been playing out, which ones to record, I remember they were like, we need to do this one. And then the more we all started talking about it, we said, that's just going to make it so sad because it's not like people will come to the show and that's the one song that, they have to come to the show to hear. And I was like, yeah, I was like, we can wait. And I agreed with them though, because I was like, man, everybody comes and they're like, we want to hear that song. And they will sit and wait for that song. And I've never had that happen until that one. So I was like, man, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome that you have something like that. But I'm looking at the time. It's been an hour, and I know you got to go to a song, right?
Oh, man. I mean, I was going to say we can wrap it up, or I can probably talk about 30 more minutes, whatever you want to do. So I would say it's not even a song, right? It's a writer's round. So I have to go play out tonight. Yeah. I'm excited though. It'll be fun. It's weird coming out here and getting to do all originals because in Texas a lot of places you still got to play a few covers. So
yeah,
it's a weird contrast. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
But now, like, if you want to go. I'm not going to take.
I'm down to keep talking. Honestly, I was about to say I don't have to be there until 8. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's one thing my mind has yet to grasp, it's time zones.
Hey, you know what? I'm actually in the same time zone as you. You're in Texas, right?
No, I'm in Delaware.
Delaware?
Yeah. That's why I'm like,
Nice.
wait a minute. And I've been in Nashville a ton of times. I'm like,
That's what you're. I was gonna say, yeah, no, I'm in Central Time. So
Okay.
yeah, it's only 6 o'clock for me. So I got time. I got about 30 more minutes, and then I probably will. Then I'll have to let this download and do all the things. So.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
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 It is when people, a lot of people do assume I'm in Texas, and I'm like, no, I wish because I could go see everybody every weekend.
Yeah, I thought Central Time though, because you sent the text, it was Central Time, so I was like, that's what I was thinking that.
No, definitely in Delaware. But yeah, you kind of started breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry, it's reconnecting again. I don't know if it's recording my face or not to be. There we go. Yeah, it keeps connecting. I think there's someone working downstairs. They're working on it, and then it'll come back up, and then it just seems to like crap again. So I don't know. I work in IT, but still.
Yeah, but at least it was good coming up. But like, yeah, as long as
I was just. Yeah,
it's just getting a little.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, it cut out.
Oh, did it? Okay, yeah.
Again. Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. But yeah, what was I gonna say? I get, yeah. I had to say, if you were to collab with somebody, do you have like a dream collab? She got knocked off. Yeah, let me.
You're good. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. I don't know what it's doing. I was gonna say it'd be Bonnie Raitt for sure.
Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the videos I've done of her. I'm pretty sure the only songs I've heard of her. That's a name that always comes
She's
up.
such a good. If you want a really good songwriter, she's amazing. Have
Yeah.
you heard her song "Just Like That"?
Ah, man, I have no idea.
She
There.
won. Okay, so a couple of years ago, I went on a whole Bonnie Raitt kick because of this. She won the Grammy for Song of the Year, and it was her first ever songwriting, like major songwriting award, if I remember correctly. And I went and listened to that song after because I was like, who's Bonnie Raitt? You know, like I'm born in the 21st century. All her major albums were from the 90s, but I kid you not, I've never cried harder in my life about a song that is about something I pray to God above I never go through. And I will leave it at that.
I'll definitely have to
So
check
yeah,
that one
but
out.
you will. It's crazy because it's like basically the song opens up and this woman opens her front door and there's a guy there. He's like, I need to talk to you. And she's like, what? And that's the whole, yeah, it's crazy what the conversation's about, to say the least. I was just like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's a name I should probably be more familiar with. But
Hey,
that,
if you like playing slide guitar, she's a beast. So,
yeah,
but yeah. Sheryl Crow too, or even Miranda Lambert, Chris Stapleton. Like there's lots, but those are probably my top four. And then if Faith Hill ever sings again, I will fight tooth and nail to do a duet with her.
did she retire or?
She doesn't really sing anymore. She had some vocal issues, if I remember correctly, on the last like Soul to Soul tour she did with Tim McGraw. She had some back before her Firefly album too, her last album she released before she, I would argue, she took a step back to raise her kids. Um, so yeah, and then she went back out and she had some more vocal issues. So, is my understanding anyway. I may be wrong, but yeah, she doesn't really sing anymore. But she just wanted to be a mom, and I was like, mad respect for that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that take a step
Yeah.
back and raise their kids, and
Yeah.
can't get mad at anybody for that, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, family's family.
It is. Yeah. But I know she released a couple singles in the early 2010s, but she hasn't really. And she and Tim did that duet album, but that was it. I don't think she'll really do much anymore.
Huh, that's a shame.
I know. I love her voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I remember Faith Hill came up when people were like, what's her name, Shania Twain, and I was just
Yeah.
like, that wasn't a name I wasn't familiar with, and I was like, I didn't even know what she looked like, and I remember I was like, somebody was like, you never seen Shania Twain? And I was like, no. And I saw her. I was like, okay, yeah, she's pretty. All right. And then I saw the Faith Hill album. I was like, oh. I was like, I would have expected that the amount of you've never seen this, and this from that. Because this is back before the internet and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, as a young impressionable male. And then I heard the one song, like I was like, oh, I've heard this. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I just never heard. It's funny. It's like hanging out with my parents this weekend. They were talking. There's a honky tonk that opened up down the road, and my mom goes, "Hopefully they get some red dirt in there." I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, Mom, they don't know what that is. And she's like,
Red dirt's so good though. They need to know. They need
I
to know.
And she was like, or the Texas country guys. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, that's kind of what I'm trying to do, so we can just go down the road, so we don't have to fly 4 hours to Texas to go see these
Hey,
guys.
I'll come open acoustically, or if I can get my band phone out there, we'll happily come. So
Yeah, apparently it's huge. I haven't seen it yet. I think it's open, but the building it took over was like a mall. So I imagine
oh man,
it's a huge place, because a lot of they do have like line dancing places out here that are pretty big. It's funny. They look like they're abandoned, but like you open it up and it's just like these
Yeah.
huge. Those ones are interesting because they'll just stand there with their like hands on their belt buckle, like, when you gonna play something we can line dance to? I'm just like, I don't even.
Yep.
I have no idea. It's
I
like,
know it's so weird when you leave the South because it's all two stepping, and then you go to the Midwest, or at least I've never been to the East Coast, so I'm assuming. But now you're saying they line dance out there too. I'm like, it's line dances. That's all they want to do, line
yeah,
dance. And then you go to Texas, and they want all the songs, like Neon Moon and stuff that they can partner dance to. And I'm just
yeah,
like, it cracks me up. So yeah,
yeah. I was like, I love the one riff of Boot Scoot and Boogie. It's bluesy. It's easy to play. And once
mhm,
people hear, but like in between songs, I'll just and then they'll like, yeah, woo, and I'll stop. And I'm like,
mhm,
oh, like, no,
yeah.
here's more Motley Crue. Sorry. but it,
I know.
but Brooks and Dunn, I remember seeing them. I remember seeing one of their videos, and it was like I don't know which one's which, but it was both of them standing out. And what irked me was the band was in the background in the shadows, like on purpose. Like,
I
and I
hate
was
it when
like,
you do that.
I know it made me so mad. I was like, I want to see what they're doing. And like, I was
I
just like,
know.
I was like, well, that's, I don't think I could ever do that as a guitar player.
Yeah, no, my band, I have them, I always tell them, I'm like, I'm stuck at the mic with a guitar. Like, y'all got to do stuff too. Like I can't do much.
Yeah.
People are going to watch you more than they're going to watch me because you can move more and have more. I'm glued to a mic because I got to play.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely one thing I would never be at the mic stand at the times I'd be needed. But yeah, like you said, like now, like, do you have like the hype person in the band that helps you get the crowd?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, my bassist and lead guitarist are actually both really really good about that. We've been working on like choreographing like certain parts of the songs because we wanted to do some stuff in sync now, and I was like, we're coming along. So that's been really really fun to do. But uh, they definitely help me get the crowd hyped because I make them go out on stage before I even we have our little intro, and they get the crowd hyped before I walk out and we start really playing. So we like to bring the drama.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
cool.
that's just a part of entertaining, like people come to have fun and have 90 minutes to 2 hours of an escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like, is it do they play like the same song every time? Is it like your walkout music?
Um, we have I would argue, so depending on where you see us, we change the cover songs up a little bit. So depending on where we're playing and what the opener, like what the other cover songs are, we'll change up the opening, the little intro part. But sometimes it's just they're playing like the mystique, the cymbal rolls and stuff like that, and then we've got other songs like, for example, "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma," where we're just like da 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 da. And it's just, but silence. I love whenever the music just dies and everyone's waiting for
Yeah.
what comes next. It's like, okay, and then it's like, let's do another one. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely
silence is good when used properly. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta know when to use it and be very careful.
Yeah. Very yeah, you ain't lying about that.
Yeah, I know. If it's like between songs, dead air, they're like, that's you don't want to do that, but you also gotta have like the clear start and stop. There's a lot of things you learn when you have a band about performing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't lying about that. Because I know like some of the places we used to play, like the stage would be kind of like off to the side, but like it's
Yeah.
still a big room. But if people had all their backs turned, we would always try to find like an instrumental song that was old that people may not know. And we'd be like, if anybody knows this song, the first person that comes up and tells us who
Hmm.
plays this song, we'll buy you drinks. And that always got
Yep.
people interested. And
Yep.
it was a no, hardly ever anybody ever got it. It was a band called Silverchair. I don't know if you know that
Yeah.
they were like, man, when they first came out, that was like the coolest thing ever because they were teenagers, and
Yeah.
and that, going back to what I found, the easiest way to play guitar is in drop D, and all their
Yeah.
songs were in drop D. I literally learned the whole album in like 10 minutes, and it was easy
Nice.
and fun to play. And it's a song called Madman, and it's really fast, and it looks complicated,
Mm-hmm.
but if a guitar player would be like, yeah, calm down, buddy. You're not doing anything too hard because you get into it and the crowd be like,
Yeah.
oh man, what is this song? Is this that? Nope. Is this that? Nope. Nope. And then more people, or just
Yeah.
little trying to get the crowd, because there's nothing worse than playing and all you see is backs and
I
stuff
know,
like
yeah,
that.
when they stop, when they've stopped listening because you're through with the first couple of songs, and it's like, okay, how do I, pull your attention or draw your attention, back to the, what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's a challenge, learning to work a crowd. That's 90% of it.
Yeah. And it's always different, especially
Mhm.
especially if you're traveling. It's
Yeah,
just
I've had some crowds like, we don't have to do anything. Like they'll just hoot and holler and clap, and if we raise our hands and we're doing the having them wave them and or clap or jump, they'll do it. And then I've had others where it's like, okay guys, like I know, like I can't hear you, like let's do it again. you know yeah.
it's fun. The last couple of shows, the hype guy, I want everybody to get down on their knees, like, get the crouch down, and when I say jump, jump. And the last
Nobody
couple
does
times,
it.
no, everybody else did but me. And I'm like, I know they're like, come on, man, because they know, like the last couple of guys, they knew me, and they're like looking at. I'm like, and then I'm like, if I go down, I ain't coming back up. I'm like, I just
No, I
always,
literally, I remember yeah, we were trying to do that with like one of our songs. I was like, let's crouch down at the end. And I was just like, wait a minute, I can't crouch. Like my back and knees don't do this
yeah,
anymore. I know I'm young, but I was like, man, this hurts. Like they're just popping.
yeah. Yeah, it was like towards the end of the
Yeah.
set, and I'm like, no, I can barely feel my feet as is, because
Yeah.
I tried it, like, you know, I, I just stand there. I probably should move around a
Yeah.
lot, because it's just standing still like that isn't good. But I just ready, come on everybody, and I'm like, they're looking at me, and I'm like, oh man, they're definitely gonna bring this up in the after party. Like, I was like, whatever. But there have been times where, yeah, I need no coaching. I'll be fine.
Nice.
Especially just, it's just live shows. It's just, I I do prefer being on the stage, but man, the energy is it's still there. I
Yeah.
just love music. I just, like,
So,
CDs and jukeboxes are cool, and listen to music, and your car is cool, but there ain't nothing that'll ever replace going to a live show.
oh yeah, the energy. There's that exchange of energy between you and the crowd, and it's so. I don't, that's what makes it all worth it. That right there. Just
Yeah.
getting to see people and see how happy and you're happy together, crying together. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's different being on stage to me than it is being out in the crowd.
Yeah.
Like watching that take place and also just feeling it too, because it's like, man, like it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. And, as a musician, what once you feel, those stage lights, and that, it's just, it's irreplaceable.
Hmm.
It's and it's weird, like, you're like, it's not jealousy, but it's a lot of times where you're just watching, like, man, I wish I was up there.
Yeah.
It's just a weird
I
feeling.
just I just want to be a part of it with them. It's like I know what they're going through and what they're feeling. And I'm like, man, like I don't even give me a microphone. Like I would just want to sit by the drummer and just watch y'all like
Yeah.
on the stage and do it with you.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I I would love, like a field trip of just like, from gear down to everything.
Yeah.
That's what I always Because
Yeah.
there's always some gadget, there's always something that made some band's life so much easier, and it's something you've never heard, and sometimes
Yes.
it could be something like in your like budget too, something cheap, something like this, and just go, oh, we just use this. It's like what? What's a thing?
I know mine was when I was buying our sound equipment, subwoofers are, they're really big and they make those cool little rolling boards. But I kept telling everybody, I was like, I don't understand how to get the subwoofer on top of that and roll it across, all of this dirt and grass for outdoor shows. And I ran into this one band and they had one of those convertible folding rolling carts. And I was like, that thing's got to cost, $500-$600. It was like $200 on Amazon. I was like, oh my gosh, game changer.
Yeah,
My back quit hurting. The subs weren't, almost falling off and we weren't all panicking. It was just like, oh, cool. This just rolls.
yeah,
Even stuff like that.
yeah. Oh my god, loading in and loading out. I would say that'd probably be my least favorite part of the whole experience.
There's something, I don't know, if loading in for me, it puts my mind in the right headspace. I used to hate it. And then when I was like, I have an entire hour typically, to just be in the moment and, be here and relax. Like we're here, the show's about to start, I don't know, that changed it for me when I changed how I thought about it. I really enjoy it now. Even whenever I'm running around like, okay, sound guy, lights, like here we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just there. Like it's showtime. Like I get to be there.
I probably hate because I have to set up the stage. The last couple of gigs we've done, it's just
That's not fun.
yeah. No,
That's not fun.
I don't even think what our next show is full band, and our drummer knows how to run the mixer, which thank God. And I
Yeah.
just set it up right next to him. I said, do you do what you have to do, and he runs it. Good. Other than that,
Yeah.
because I am not a soundboard type person, and I
I
love
feel
how
that.
I, now the one we have, it's got like a quick wizard. You just put a mic out front, and it just puts some. It's terrible
Yeah.
sounds. And then it just goes,
Yeah.
okay, tune for the room. Like, all
That's
right,
cool.
yeah, and it probably doesn't
Yeah.
do anything, but it does.
Yeah.
It does change. But yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I was
then
about to say. Oh, go ahead.
now I was just saying, well, loading out. Like I always like I like talking to people, and it always feels like they gotta get everything out, and the people working there, they want to go home too, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's just, and it's nonstop, especially if you're running like a big tour, you only it's weird like how like down to the minute everything has to be at
Mm-hmm.
the next gig, the next hotel,
Yeah. No, I feel that. I was gonna say I was routing some of our shows for this summer, and I was like, man, like we have to leave at this time to make sure we get here by this time, and like it gets really, really detailed and
yeah,
exact.
yeah, and man, trailer tires like to blow up like 20
Yep.
miles away from where you buy them. Which
I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I'm at the point where I think I'm just gonna put spare tires, not a spare tire, like a real tire, but it's the spare in the back, just so I can be like, cool, let's go.
yeah,
Just have a couple back there.
yeah, that was the one. Like I couldn't believe how many times I'm like, why do trailer tires have air in them? It should be solid rubber.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
I'm like, we're getting terrible gas mileage regardless, and I'm like, they're
Mm.
probably, something that I don't understand, but yeah, you buy another one, you'd be like, oh, we got that taken care of. It's brand new, and
Yep.
yeah, that and well, our roads out. I just remember Austin Mead was like, y'all got some potholes out here, man. And I was like, yeah, because he was like, I can't believe people ride motorcycles out here. There's craters in the roads. I said, yeah, you just go around them. I was like, like it gets
Yeah.
really, really cold, and then it get really, really hot, and it just the whole road just breaks, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's just never
The
ending.
roads in Texas do that too, though. Like all the
Yeah,
back roads and stuff, and they fix the interstate first, and then they'll get to the highways, and then all your back roads, they'll just have craters. I had one they just finally filled out near where I live, and I was ecstatic because I literally my car would go like 45-degree angle through that hole. There was no way around it. It was either you deal with the 45-degree angle or you go into a massive nest of vines. So I was just like, I will take the angle and pray to God above all the parts on the bottom of my car don't fall out by the end of it.
That's funny.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's crazy. The things you have to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just all the things you have to overcome as an artist.
It's those things though that give you the stories and the inspiration for me to keep going. So it's like, well, if I can get through that, I can get through anything.
Yeah.
Stranded on the side of the road.
Yeah, all I gotta do is get by that pothole. We're gonna have a good show.
Yep, for sure. Do you believe in the whole like if it all goes wrong, it's gonna be a great show mentality? Like a lot of people they'll tell me that if everything goes wrong, they're like it's gonna be a great show. I have a hard time sometimes like getting into that zone whenever everything's going to hell in a handbasket.
I swear our band. It's funny. I called the F It All tour, and it was like I should have filmed everything. It was living a Spinal Tap movie. Everything that it was amazing how much sometimes like I had to like disassemble power cords for something else and like hardwire the equipment because there's no adapter, there's no power cord. And it's just like no one touched this because you could possibly unalive yourself, and you just plug it in like ugh. And just stuff. One time the bass player called him up. I'm like, "Where are you at?" "I'm in Canada." Like, what are you doing in Canada? "Well, I'm visiting my family." "Well, we're here at the show. Where are you?" "Well, I'm in Canada. I won't be there." Click, and it's like, "Oh, I guess I'm playing bass," and just, just crazy stuff. That it's the one band I had. Somebody should have wrote a book about that. Like, we won every contest we ever did, from all the way. We won from the state level. They won the whole Northeast. They played Giant Stadium, and then ended up going all the way out to nationals and got in the top 300 out of all the submissions, and just it didn't make the top 30. But then there was another contest. They 36,000 entries, and they only took 12 artists, and we were one of them, and they didn't go.
Wow.
Because they didn't want to change the brakes on the truck that pulled the trailer. I'm like, what? It's
I love it.
What do you mean? And then they had like a big signing. I was in Mexico, and they didn't want to go. They couldn't decide who was going to pay to go out to sign these papers. And I'm like obviously I can't go. Like, somebody has. It's some of the most talented people I've ever worked with, and it's just like you get told you're gonna get a record deal, and the drummer just went, "Well, I'm a rock star," and just was like, "I'm gonna do what rock stars do. I'm gonna wake up and start drinking," and he drank himself in the hospital, and the lady was like, "Well, that's not a good start."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Everybody has to go to rehab," and they were like, "No, we wanted to do this so." That was down the line, not off the start. And I was like, really? Like, it's crazy. Yeah,
I had to make a rule with my band. I have some guys they don't want to come play, but I had one guy. I played with him, and he got on stage and got drunk, and I'm tiny, like I can't body slam anybody, and the longer the show went on, the more drunk he got, and the more aggressive he was getting. And I was like, dude, like I had to make a rule where you can drink after the show, but before the show, like you got to get out there and do it sober, because I cannot go through that again. I cannot. Like, he got aggressive. I was like, nope.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, people are always like, seriously, like we can't have one shot. And I'm like, none. Like he had one shot and was down. Like, I don't know if you're a lightweight or not. Like, until that is decided, no, nothing.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, after the show, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Nope, not that.
What instrument was he playing?
Bass.
So
Yeah,
that.
no, it was like a trio type like show before I was with my band back when I was doing acoustic stuff, and I just remember I was like, dude, like it's just me and this acoustic. Like I'm playing acoustic, I've got someone over here fiddling on lead, and you're completely wasted and hammered, and you're supposed to be sitting down, and you're like way too close to me.
Oh,
Like,
and that bass
yeah.
headstock, that'll knock you out.
I know. I was like, nope, I can't. Yeah. Long story short, the three of us never. We were one and done.
You're supposed to be seated.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Doing the
Exactly.
windmill.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
man.
yeah. Yeah, but I was about to say we've got a couple of minutes left, so if you don't mind, I'll just kind of say where we're playing, and then
Yeah.
we have the new song coming out in June, Heartbreaker's Paradise. I haven't formally like announced it yet, but it's coming, so I'm super excited. But yeah, we're playing at for the rest of May. We'll be at Sidekicks in Emory on the 17th, and then Abendigo's on May 24th, and then we're playing at Tufts Brewery's like Farmers Market Festival in May. We're doing a hopefully single release show, if not a pre-release, June. It's at Times Music City, and then we're opening for Jesse Jennings and Peyton Howie, June 27th, 28th at Rhinestone and Houston. So we're really excited.
Cool.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Being busy, that's a great thing to
I think
be.
that's really all I had. So.
Well,
But
yeah.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go ahead, if you're cool with it, and call it because my phone's about to die, and
Yeah.
there's only one outlet in this converted dormitory I'm staying
Yeah.
in. It's on
Thank you.
2%.
Yeah.
It went from 100 to 2 in less than 90 minutes. The battery's going bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll eat the battery. But yeah, thanks for giving
Yeah.
your time and talking.
Yeah, I was gonna say I totally would talk longer, but it's going down. So,
I hear you.
yeah, thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it and chatting. It's cool to get to hear more about you because I see you on TikTok all the time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it was a good time. Well, you enjoy the rest of
yeah,
your night.
yeah. You too. Thanks again. And then I just leave this up right at the end of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it'll
Cool.
upload.
Do I hit the leave button and then just leave it up, the app open?
Yeah, I think that would work.
Cool.
Yeah, you're
Sweet.
82% uploaded, so it won't take that long.
Oh, cool. Sweet. That's what that little percentage is.
Yeah.
I get it now. I just thought it was like my internet connection. So
Ah.
it's been really low the whole night.
That'll
All
work.
right. Well, thanks again, Patrick. I really
Mhm.
appreciate it. So I'm trying to, if you watch this back later, I'm in a really bad habit. I mean, I used to wear a hat and I used to tip everybody whenever I said goodbye. And now I just reach up and try to grab it and there's nothing there. So that's what I'm doing.
Love it.
But yeah. Yeah. It was great meeting you then. Yeah. If you've ever, I'd love to see you at a show if you're ever in Texas. So
Yep. I'll definitely come.
cool. Appreciate it. Yeah. Have a great night. Enjoy Delaware and tell your parents I said hi and I hope they enjoy the honky tonk.
All right.
And maybe I'll get a red dirt band up there.
Yeah. I'll try.
Yeah. Alrighty.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
See you.
You too.